Good morning, everyone. All right, nothing much has changed. Trend is up, starting here with the futures. So what do we take note of? Range expansion. So down here, I mean, this doesn't display the gap up. I'm going to just start from the bottom to what we're going to refer to here. And when trends are as strong as this one is, to know where it's going to stall, all we can do is look at the clues. Tired of you saying the same thing? I'm tired of saying the same thing too. But let's see if we can change it a little bit. Right, the trend is up. The trend is up, right? And that's, I'm glad you say that because, as long as I've been doing this, whether it's an uptrend or it's a downtrend, believe it or not, as much as we want the change to come, it's always the same, meaning it goes further than we thought it would. This one didn't, for sure, but this is the Trump effect. Now, this one should have had, historically, based on the patterns that we look at, should have had another leg down. But it's different this time, for sure, because when something comes out of a consolidation like that, it makes the initial break. It doesn't just make an about face, not with such a small amount. There's usually another leg to the downside. Then it could make a V bottom. So, look, just to reinforce what we look at, this was a powerful part of the turn. That doesn't mean that it's going to do this, because many times after an initial move like that, you can get a power bar and it goes sideways and it rolls again. And this one didn't. And so the retracement here, looking at the futures, on the regular ones, it was a gap. It just continued to march its way up. And we had the red bar ignored, a couple of red bars ignored. You can just look at this and just look at when was there a close below a prior day's low? And there was right there. There was one close below a prior day's low. So it's been an incredible run. So yesterday, we're going to look at the others. We have a wide range bar. Now, that's a power bar, but it's been going up, and this is up whatever 20 something percent. The semiconductors are up close to 50% SMH. I mean, it's historically, I think, the first time ever to have seen a move of this magnitude from this type of a pattern. Not that there hasn't been times where prices can have moved like that, but not after this. So now we have this wide range bar. Okay, fine. This morning, the economic data came up, the market's yawning at it. So the mindset would continue to be buy the dip, new all-time highs. It continues to go higher. You can see the intraday 65-minute or pre-market chart. It's just sideways there, not really going too far. So upward momentum is slowing a bit. That doesn't change the trend. We would see where does it end today? Higher? Lower? To what degree? Does it close here? Does it not take out that low by the end of the day? Which would lead to every pattern as it develops, as we put together bar by bar within a trend in multiple time frames, it leads to a thought as to what should happen next. Now, because it's in an uptrend in multiple time frames, the assumption is it continues to go up until it doesn't. That being said, at some point it's going to make a turn. Some turns are subtle. And when I see this kind of a pattern, historically, if it was to close like this, and what I would say, maybe I'd make a post, in one of the chats, look out for a breakout bar failure tomorrow. And this isn't such a clean breakout because it started here, but when you get something like this one, and it breaks out and you get a little inside bar like that and it breaks the low. I probably said that in in one of the recordings, pre-market recordings, to look for a breakout bar failure here. And that's often what happens. Now, breakout bar failures don't mean it's a total end of the trend, but it does suggest, based on historical patterns, a normal kind of a pullback to a rising 20 or some support area. So if we were to get an inside bar today and it broke the low, it might just be that where it starts to pull back from there. We'll just have to see. Right now, we've got a little narrow bar at the top of the range, and most times after a wide range bar, you get a resting day. And we call them like 1, 2, 3s looking for the go higher. But 1, 2, 3s don't, the best ones don't come after prices have been running as far as this one has. But look, at some point, we all know that there's going to be some corrective price action. It's inevitable because that's the way the market works. All right. So here's a better example. And again, this is the futures of if we were to just get a day like this, an inside day, and come back tomorrow and I say, oh, yeah, I said it yesterday, possible breakout bar failure. We'd see if it breaks the lows. Wide range bar is a power bar. There's a void underneath, starts to pull back. Then does this hold or not? And in addition, this is a wide range bar. If you were trail stopping, you're putting your stop when you get a wide range bar under that bar's low. Because wide range bars, you're not supposed to get a move all the way back down or close below the low. So we'll thought process as we look at the patterns. So now we've got this consolidation and those choppy stuff that was going on, the RBI, the bottoming tail bar, and that inferred that that resting period, maybe it's enough. Many times, right, we're looking for, hey, can it go sideways into a rising 20? Well, moving averages are subjective. Now, if we were to put a 10 MA on here, assume it probably touched that or some moving average did. And everybody look at my moving average. I would touch there and it went up. Yeah, okay. Well, there's a gap up. It didn't fill the gap. It didn't even try to fill the gap. Here's your major support down here. I just put that there. So prior bar's low is our first reference point of support. Unfilled gap in this case is our next reference point of support. And filling that gap could be a heads up because prices would have to retrace. If it did it today, where you got a red bar. Right now, it's just a little gap up occurred there. And what was that on the economic news? Or what time was that? 4 o'clock in the morning. Went up and it's just going sideways, doing nothing. So it's just, gapping above that bar's high. After a gap up that wasn't filled in a gap up, I would suspect some kind of profit taking, but we'll see. Right now, it's just doing nothing. There's SPX. With that there, I got to drag this down. I think that came up about 80 strikes. Now this is relatively tight. Also, notice the ATR here. Now, when I was talking about wide range bars, well, looking at this, as this number gets higher, meaning like down here, I think it was at around 100 and something. As this number increases, that's another piece of information to suggest things are getting a little ahead of themselves and likely to pull back. So as your 5-day average true range right now is 82. Yesterday, I think it was 64. So that jumped a lot. And prior to that, it was a little bit lower. But down at the bottom, it was over 100 on the way up. So we're getting range expansion. You got a wide range bar. It's through a whole number, 7,300. Looks like 7,400 is calling. Here's big support. And as this thing accelerates, you have a giant void down here. And then you've got like you know, let's call it mini voids as prices move up from a consolidation where there's just no support. Let's look at the others where they, if anything, is gapping of significance, and I don't see that. You can see the Qs are gapping up a little bit. Um, the Russell, gotten a bit ahead of itself, a little void action there. It's coming off the high, but going to open up so far up near the high of that bar. Diamonds could be the catch up type of trade that we look for. It's consolidating, just kind of peekabooed above the highs there. So maybe that's new all-time highs. Might be where that's headed. Mid caps finally did the catch up. This is not this one, but an ETF. We put that in our ETF letter here. So that had a nice move up. So it was like we call it catch-up trade, where it was underperforming, and now it's beginning to outperform. So, but the breadth is not expanding very much. And one of the things we'll be talking at or looking at probably by next week, assuming that the market continues to move up, is that this breadth moves up into this area up here because sentiment is already inching up into an extreme, which is quite understandable as the market moves up like that, that you're going to get more and more option traders buying calls, expensive calls. They don't get cheaper as markets accelerate. They get more expensive. And as option traders are willing to continue to buy them, right, they're taking on, well, risk is measured by their money management, but they become where there's a higher probability that those expensive call options will not pay off unless prices begin to move up with some momentum to the upside. So that looks great coming out of this consolidation. Silver, right? Yesterday we said, hey, we talked about like, whoa, what's going on here? This thing looked like it was going to break lower down to the 200. And now, it flipped up and it's continuing to move up. So the bias has changed on this. It's up at resistance now. If this can hold up a little bit, I think this is going to be a place to go. We don't like to buy into an area of a pivot high, but this has changed from the nasty move down, the next move, and this upward grind, looking for the next move down to, okay, it makes a pivot and then a red bar ignored and two up bars. This bar is not done yet, but uh, this is changing. You can see the weekly chart down here, the improvement. So we'll see where this is by tomorrow. That's looking much better. So gold stocks, silver stocks, got to check those out. There's gold. Doesn't look as good. And it's got the declining 50 MA. There's resistance right there, but I think it's starting to develop. That's why we look at these, every day, monitor these different indices and commodities and such to see how they're developing. Crude oil is down again. It's just in a wide whippy trading range historically. As prices do go up, wide and whippy trading ranges do often lead to a move down. It's a topping type of pattern, but you got to need the confirmation. So while it's a wide whippy like this, we could be looking at a head and shoulders top or whatever it might be. Ranges expand. And we looked at average true range before. Ranges expand. Overlapping bars, wide, but we need confirmation. And so it certainly could tighten up. And, is this war really over? I think everybody is just totally sick of this. And I don't know if it's true. You see a lot of stuff on social media. Skeptical of any of it, but this guy Alex Jones yesterday, InfoWars was saying that the Saudis told Trump. I don't know if anybody else heard this. Saudis told Trump no more using their area. They want this thing done. And maybe that's why the markets moved as much as they did. I don't know, whatever else was said. But, if that's the case, maybe it is done. Finish with whatever's going to happen. That's going to happen. But let's see how this develops. If that's the case, this should continue to drop. You heard this term, Thomas? Yeah. So, and I guess it's true. I'm always skeptical of things that I hear. People say things or post things just to get clicks or likes or some kind of interest. All right, Russell futures. We'll take a look at Bitcoin. Looks, it's up here. Wide range bar, same story. It's coming off the highs a little bit. Interest rates down a bit. So that was a bit of a wild thing where I move. I mean, in the weekend letter saying, look, if this clears this highs and that's going up, the market's going to cave in. It just has to. That's just the way things are. And so that was beginning to develop. The markets went down, and then interest rates, oil comes down on being news, and so here you can see it's down even further. So that's good. So now what we want to do, we'll start doing is looking at bottoming action. And bottoming action doesn't mean trade; it means development, home builders, home construction. If this continues to come down, those sectors will start to outperform, and they're beaten down already. Bitcoin backed off yesterday. Right? Was up at this unfilled gap area, like pulling back. I think. Look, this has done a lot of work to develop here. It looks a hell of a lot better than it did over here. Moving average is rising. It's definitely into some resistance, some consolidation here. Getting it ready for the next move up. So we'll keep an eye on that. And Ethereum going in here. So this is underperformed, but it's going sideways at resistance. And we'll see how that develops also. And at some point, the almighty semiconductors are going to be pulled back down to some reasonable level, or coming back to a movement back to the mean. And whether that's down here or whether that's going to be some of the retracements in some of those stocks, while they're up, like Intel up 140, 50%, somebody is going to be down 30 or 40%, and it'll still be in an uptrend. Can you imagine? You'll be down 30 or 40%, and wherever that is from here to wherever that is, and it'll be in an uptrend. Oh, where is it today? It's gapping down a little bit, so maybe that's a sign of a short-term high. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. I saw a number of semis gapping down, but picking tops in that sector has not been easy. I noticed the memory stocks are all gapping down too. And like an IGV, yeah, we're in it. Yeah, there has to be some earnings dragging that up because that's a big gap. $3. That's big. You mentioned LAC. That's a bull 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks good. Bullish weekly. And again, we'll pivot there, but yeah, that'd be your target for a high, which percent wise, that's pretty good. Beautiful 15-minute base. Starbucks. That's a bull rectangle. I'll set an alarm at 107.10. And that's exactly what you want to see when you have a big old igniting big bar that you don't want to chase. We say let it go sideways a couple of days, and that's exactly what it's doing. what did I say? 107.10. Oh, so look at these memory stocks. Now look at these monthlies. Just insane. $31 to 1,500. So look, these are all bearish gaps, 30-minute low. Um, 30-minute low can consider day trade shorts and call. Today's Thursday, so it'd be one DTE call spreads. They all are trading extremely similar. Look at this. $100 to 800. Crazy runs. All right, there's a ton of gappers here. Bottoming pattern, my up alarm just went off on ACVA. PFA, and a lot of potential exhaustion gaps. This was a buy setup. I had an alarm wherever it went off. I see one or two prints, but it's not liquid. And that came down hard, so we don't expect a new high, but still up. And if it goes for the 20 MA, it would be a nice trade. But we got to see where it's going to open up. These are all earnings gaps. CNR. Why did I have an alarm on this? There's nothing of interest there. Let's go to the top of the list on earnings. And there's a ton of them, but I deleted a bunch already. ARM 220. That's in the middle of no man's land. That actually could be a condor for a 1 DTE condor. That's up, but messy. Put spread on SGI. Lamar. Put spread. Tapping up a little. Arrow. 190. Well, that's a big gap up from consolidation, so that's not a good exhaustion gap, but it could be a put spread. Gap in the 45, that would be a call spread, but it's gapping down $6. You aren't going to get any premium. AAON. Now it fits what I call extremely bullish gap, but excessive. So I have that on my bottom right here. AAON as a 30-minute low, 1 DTE call spread. Let me see if they have them. Shoot, they don't have 1 DTEs. But still, that gap's so big. Be day trade short, and I'll consider going out 8 days if the premiums are good and tight. This ESAB potential bottoming pattern, went up, retest, but it's a mess. And I don't see where it's opening. EPAM 103. That is a nasty downtrend. I think I said if it opened flat, short the low. I mean, that's just being sold. Daily, weekly, monthly, with zero indication of a turn yet. BXSL getting down. Nothing. MKTX, I don't see where it's opening, but that's also a nasty downtrend. Daily, weekly, monthly. Look at that. There's not 2 green bars in a row since this breakdown right here. None. That's too, I don't like getting on board moving trains like that unless it's just a day trade. This gap in a 90, that's a bullish gap. And a little bear sandwich. We can watch that on a pullback. EFX, I already mentioned the alarm, Planet Fitness, potential exhaustion gap. I have it. I mean, when I say exhaustion gap, they're best when they're from fluid moves. It's actually a bearish gap, but is it excessive? Well, I'll tell you in the first hour. Come to the green room and I'll answer that question in real time. 86, that's a nasty gap and might be headed to the 200. I mean, this is a pattern. I say you could trade up or down based on the gap, and it's gapping down. Mid C 355. There's another exhaustion potential. Gap and crab. I'm gonna put that in a window. Mid C. BCE gapping up, but let's see. It's we're talking about double bottoms yesterday. Look, that's a double bottom. Momentum move, less than a third retracement, and some type of bullish retest at far low. Not difficult. And and there's a void. So that would be a put spread if there's any choose. And there was a lot of good tops yesterday. I remember Dave. Look, top. Momentum move up, retest. Ain't that I remember? Top. Momentum move, retracement, bearish retest at resistance. It's so easy. It's an M from elementary school. People like to say, oh, look, this low is retesting that low. It's a double bottom. It's not. And they have symmetry. Yeah, when I got in the bottom right. VIXing, gapping to gap breakout. That could be a 30-minute high trade. Let's see how the gap holds. And I don't like gap and goes for the most part. So, you can watch it. AOSL, that was a bull rectangle. Gapping down. Okay, but it's a bearish gap. Call spread if there's anything. I don't like the way that trades. Oh, American Bitcoin. Actually, I put an alarm at 126. There's another gap breakout, but that one's excessive. That's gapping up 10%, so I don't like that one. Life, man, oh man, look at that rally off the low. $10 at 23 and gapping up. Now that's gapping from an end of day base. So that I wish it was gapping up $5. Right now, I don't know. That thing's a freaking beast. That's gapping down 1850. That now this one, like 5-minute low. I would say see if you can do a 1 DTE $19 call. We'll see. So when I go through these, I'm telling you what I'm thinking and watching, but I sure as heck can't watch them all. So you all, if you like this strategy and this pattern, you watch it and tell me in the green room at 9:35 if that takes out 5-minute low. ACVA, there's another one, igniting gap, bottoming pattern, but gap's too big for me. It's another greater than 10% gap. McDonald's was up a lot, which was helping the Dow. Now there's no pattern. Seeing that a lot of these oil, when I was going through all these earnings, they had, what jumped out at me is the oil stocks. Without even looking at the name, I can tell you that's oil, that's oil. And then the same thing happened with gold. A lot of them gapped up yesterday, many are gapping up today. And without looking at it, I can say that's a footprint of a gold stock right now. So a lot of these oils look like this. If you can do call spreads and maybe, yeah, I got it on my list. And I have it on my list as a possible excessive, yeah. 72. Yeah, let me put that in the window. Yeah, so I didn't get through all my earnings, but I set alarms on the ones of interest to me. Um, VNT alarm went off. This is a short idea. My low alarm went off. Bearish multi-week consolidation, bearish weekly. Let's see if it's going to tank. I ain't chasing it. But that's a bearish setup. That's why I had an alarm. VNT, that's VNT, ACVA. Gap's too big. Those are old alarms. That's it. I don't have any alarms going off. So I can. Here's some other ones that I put in the windows. Look at D-Dog. It is in my list of bullish gap, but excessive. Dash. Dash is a bullish gap, and it's excessive short term. But I want to watch a pullback, maybe around 175. I'm going to see if it turns, and I'll consider a put spread for tomorrow. Mid-C, I said excessive gap. Let me check options.
BVLT breakout above a red bar's high. Could do 5-minute high or whatever it does.
No weeklies in the spreads, but 380s are $5 by $10. But can't do anything with it. Where did I leave off? Oh, here's Shack right there. Nomad is, I like this bottoming pattern because you got that downside shakeout igniting. I was hoping for a 1, 2, 3 void target, maybe up to 11. All right, now dash hit my 175, but it came in an ugly manner. So I don't do bullish or bearish caps that retrace in an ugly manner. So he's on probation right now. Well, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I have that in the bottom, look bottom right. Well, that's 15-minute chart. For gap trading, we really need 5-minute chart. There you go. Look at that planet still selling off. It's only 9:32, so I like waiting on earning stocks 5 minutes unless, yeah, well, I was going to say, unless you have a beautiful pre-market pattern, and you actually do here. But I still like 5-minute low because you don't know when, you know, there's more interest and activity in an earnings stock. The gap is so big, there's no out of the money strikes. We only have the 130s. Shoot, Meta stopping out. We had a call spread. It held the stop yesterday by like 6 pennies, but it just hit today. Alarms. Back of auction. That bullish gap gave it up. So see, there's another example. Bullish gap came in high. I mean, that came in like a disaster. Blew through the gap fill. Even at least Dash is holding the gap. There's an igniting gap 4. That looks like a intermediate term bottom. There's no trade. It's at the top of the range, but look at weekly, monthly. Look, I mean, you got to watch it for a couple days to see if you get a pattern. which I'm not gonna do. I might check premium anyway, maybe the 165 on Jack and juice. Oh, Whirlpool, Alex, was another one I didn't get to. I had it in the window. I mean, that's a friggin' Dow stock. They were talking about, the recession type behavior. Their business is getting whacked with the war and so forth. There's no weeklies and the 4250s are 20/7. They said no trade there. I thought it got added a year ago because I was scratching my head saying, why the heck would they put Whirlpool in the Dow 30? All right, I'm gonna look that up later. I don't know why I had that belief. And let me check calls. 200s for tomorrow. Wow, we could do the 210s have juice. 210, 220 is $1. 215s are, yeah, they're too spready. Dollar by $1.60, $1.20, $1.80. I can't do that to them. Yeah, that's good. AAON, I like that it's actually going sideways like this. So maybe 15-minute low. Let it just, because the more sideways when it cracks, there's more resistance. Any D line at the low of the day, which is flat. Look, CDE, say mining. So many of these stocks look the same. I mentioned yesterday put spreads on a bunch of them, but I didn't find any with the premium. Z Zulu gapping down. That looks like a call spread. 46s, there's no weeklies, and the 4750s 20 by 35. Golf. I'm sure it's the same. Yep, the weeklies. If it had a bigger void here, I'd say short below. Snap. This is the one that always has huge earnings gaps for some reason. I didn't do any earnings trades yesterday. IWM acting weakest here today. I exited my short puts yesterday. It's flat. I actually have an alarm on that, and I was hoping for a 1, 2, 3. But it has to be yesterday's low. So let me set a new alarm. 98.50. They're another gold stock. See the footprint? It's like, I mentioned oil stocks and these gold stocks. I can tell what they are without looking at the symbol. That would be a nice put spread, recent IPO. AP. AP Corp, ADR, 0 by $1. Wow, look at that big gap. Let's see, look at the pre-market on that. That gave zero sign of weakness. That is an amazing bullish gap. Tesla. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. How much are you getting? That's really far away. Definitely, I like the pattern. 390s right now. I don't know what you got. 56. Let's say we got to give them the spreads unless it's 0 DTE, and the $5 midpoint's only 19 cents. So I'm not taking that risk of Microsoft ripping. So that is a sloppy bull flag. And it's more of a bull rectangle 1, 2, 3, 4 on the weekly. That's I would do the 415s on this for tomorrow too. $77. Okay, this one is juice. Let's watch your pullback. 415, 410. Yeah, I like this one. Yeah, I like this one I'm gonna give